It's hard to believe we've already reached the second event of Quack's Marble Clash Season 3, but here we are with Archery. Hello everyone, I'm your host Quack, and you can see the standings right now. The Stingrays standing on top after getting gold in the first event, but of course, anything could still change as we only have one event's worth of results. But here is the Archery board. It needs no introduction. We saw it in the qualifiers, and each team will send 4 of their marbles down one at a time, trying to get as close to the center as possible, and you get points for which dominoes you hit. You get 8 for the bullseye in the center, that purple domino. You get 0 if you don't hit any, and you get the average of 2 dominoes if you hit 2 of them. We begin with the demo run from the Event Horizons. We saw them in Event 1, and they're off to a great start here with a 7 for their first marble. Very respectable. We'll see if they can keep that momentum up, though. Their second comes down off to the far side a little bit, but a 6.5 isn't too shabby either. Now their third comes down, looking true to the center here, almost a bullseye. That's a 7.5, though, and the Event Horizons looking great here, despite being the demo. Their captain comes down. That's a bullseye for their captain, Super Giant. A great run all around from the Event Horizons. That ties the record from the Stingrays from the qualifiers. A 29 is excellent from the Event Horizons, and showing how you want to do it for these teams. There's the run order. The City Lights will be up first. The Stingrays, our reigning gold medalists, will be at the back. But we begin with the City Lights. They struggled in this event in the friendly round. We'll see if they've improved since then. It looks like they're off to the near side with their first marble, and a 3.5 isn't how you want to do it. We'll see if Diode can redeem them. They're coming down now off to the left side a little bit, but still a 6.5 isn't too shabby. Now their third marble about to come down. They're off way to the far side. That's a 1, not how you want to do it, as they're going to hang out with the Event Horizons now. And we'll see if Metro can redeem them. Their captain, they come down also off to the far side, and a 5.5 is not going to redeem them, I don't think. A 16.5 is okay, but we'll see how that benchmark compares to the rest of the runs. Now the Pollen Puffs are up. They were very solid in the qualifiers, and they're trying to keep that momentum up. They struggled a bit in balancing, but a 7.5 is a great opening shot. Now let's see how their second marble does. A little bit off to the near side, but still a 5.5 is very respectable. The Pollen Puffs looking like a challenger here. Their third coming down a bit off to the far side, but a 6.5. That's 3 in a row at 5.5 or greater. Now the captain comes down a lot off to the far side, actually, and a 3.5. Can't quite keep up the consistency, but a 23 is still a great shot for the Pollen Puffs. We'll see how that compares to the rest of the runs. As now move on to Team Pixie, another team that was great in the qualifiers. We'll see how they do here. Their first marble looking a bit off to the near side, and a 5.5 is very solid to start things off, but we'll see. Their second marble also looking very similar. A 4.5 is going to basically repeat that, except a bit farther off. Now their third marble comes down. That's a 7.5. Very solid for Team Pixie, and they might be a challenger here if they can get one more good run. They're looking a bit off to the far side, though, and a 5.5. Will that beat the Pollen Puffs? No, technically, that ties them, but they lose on the tiebreaker based on their individual runs. Unfortunate, but they won't be able to take the gold here. Now I move on to the Flying Saucers, our hosts. They're very solid in the first event, and it looks like they're off to a solid start here. Saturnian gets a bullseye. That was a great run for their first marble. Now their second marble comes down a bit off to the near side this time, and a 4.5 isn't too shabby, but still not quite able to compare with the first run. Now their third comes down, and that's only a 2.5. The Flying Saucers starting to squander their potential here. As now Martian, the captain, comes down. They're off to the far side, and a 4.5 is unfortunately all they can muster. A 19.5 is still only P3 out of the run so far. Very solid is still, but we'll see how that shakes out with everyone else still yet to go. The King Crabs now, the reigning silver medalists. We'll see how they do here. Their first marble comes out. That was great from Coconut, getting a 7. And the King Crabs did do great in this event in the qualifiers, but their second marble is not showing it. Only a 2.5, and it's not looking great for them. Now their third marble coming down is similarly off to the far side, and a 1.5 is not great, as now it's all going to come down to Fiddler, the captain, this Season 1 MVM, only getting a 5 here, and I think that's going to be dead last. Yes, P5 out of 5, a 16 for the King Crabs. Unfortunate for the reigning medalists, but now we move on to the Stone Golems, who are very solid in the first event, and they're trying to keep that momentum up. Their first marble, though, not able to do so, a 2.5 for Android. Now Construct comes down similarly off to the far side, a 3.5, not able to get anything done here, and suddenly it's not looking good. Automaton now looking true to the center, a perfect bullseye there, and suddenly the Stone Golems are back on track. Now the Captain Guardian has to keep this momentum up. They're off to the near side this time, and a 4. Unfortunately, I don't think is the score they're going to need. An 18 will put them P4 out of 6 so far. Now we move on to the Snapping Turtles, the second consecutive green team that was top 6 in the last event, and it looks like their first marble off to the far side, a 3.5 is not the score they needed. We'll see if they can get the momentum back. Tortimer comes down as similarly far off to the far side run. A 2.5 is not what they wanted. Now Yertle, their best member, comes down. That's a 6.5. Not bad, but not enough to redeem those last two. Bowser really needs to get something going here. The Anchor, they're going to be off to the far side, and a 2.5 is unfortunately not what they need. A 15 will only be P7 out of 7. That's another run I can't quite call bad, but we just have seen every single team is bringing their A games. Now we move on to the Ivy League, who struggled in the first event, trying to redeem themselves here, and Bettina will be doing so with a 7 on the first shot. The Ivy League looked like they could be dangerous here, as now their second marble comes down to 6.5. Consistency so far with their first 2 runs. Now their third comes down, looking very solid as well, a 7, and the Ivy League might be challenging here. It's all going to come down to Jewelweed, though, the captain. They're looking a bit off to the far side, but 4.5, will that be enough to beat the Pollen Puffs? Yes, it will. A 25 will go into P1 for the Ivy League, redeeming themselves after struggling in the first event, but they will be leading at the halfway point. The Pollen Puffs and Team Pixie rounding out the provisional podium. The Flying Saucers currently top half. Meanwhile, the Snapping Turtles, unfortunately, at the bottom. The King Crabs not going to be able to get 2 medals in a row, and the City Lights struggling once again. As now we move on to the Red Rockets to begin the second half. They were another team that struggled surprisingly in the first event, and a 2.5 is not going to be a great start for this event either. Now Fuselage comes down. They're a great marble, and they're almost going to get a bullseye. A 7.5, though, is a very solid second run. Now Booster comes down, looking very true here. A bullseye for them, and a great run for the Red Rockets. They might be on pace to contend as well. Their fourth marble also looking very solid. A 5.5 for Thruster, and that's a 23.5. That takes P2 just barely over the Pollen Puffs. The Team Pixie gets knocked off the provisional podium. As now we move on to the Avocados. They were very poor in the first event, trying to redeem themselves here. Their first marble completely off to the far side, and I don't think the Avocados are off to a good start here. Now their second marble comes down. Their new member, it's only going to be a 4.5. Unfortunate for the team in green. We'll see how their third does now. It looks like they're going to be completely off there. That's a 0, and the Avocados are not looking good now. Their Captain Guac has to get something going here, and I don't think they will. That's a 3.5. Unfortunately, the Avocados only going to get an 8. That puts them P10 out of 10. Comfortably the worst run we've seen so far. Unfortunate for the Avocados. But now the 4K Pixels got a medal in the first event. They're very solid in this in the qualifiers as well. And their first marble gets a 7.5. A great start for the Pixels. Now their second marble comes down, looking very similar. They're off to the far side a bit, though, and a 5.5 is not too shabby. But, of course, they want to keep that momentum up. Their next marble comes down, and a 6.5 is another great run. The 4K Pixels look dangerous, especially if they can get a bullseye here, but I don't think they will. And a 4.5 is still solid, though. The 4K Pixels getting a 24. That puts them P2. They might be on pace for their second consecutive medal. Now we move on to the Azure Diamonds, and their third consecutive team having their debut in the main league, and they're way off to the far side. A 1.5 is not a good start for the Diamonds. We'll see if their second marble can improve upon that. They're also off to the far side. A 3.5 is still not great. They want to get closer to the center here. Their third marble comes out looking a lot better, but off to the near side a bit. A 5. It looked a lot better than a 5, but it only ended up getting there. And their fourth marble completely off. That was a 0 if I've ever seen one. Going to hang out with the Event Horizons, and a 10 will put them P11 out of 12. That still beats the Avocados, but only just. Now the Jelly Jammers are up, another rookie team. We'll see how they're able to perform here. They were pretty decent in the first event, but it looks like they're going to be off to the far side here. A 2.5 is not a great start for the Jammers. Now their second marble coming down, looking very true to the center here. 6.5, though. It looked a lot stronger earlier on. I think they curled a bit to the far side toward the end, but their third also looking great here. Another 6.5, though, this time to the near side, but still the Jammers looking pretty consistent. If their captain can get it done, but they'll only get a 2. And unfortunately, the Jelly Jammers only going to end up with P8 out of 13. A 17.5 isn't bad, but they didn't have a single run better than 6.5. We're getting pretty late into this event now as the Chili Peppers are up. They were okay in the first event, but they want to improve upon that. Their first marble gets a 5.5, though. Not too shabby of a start, but they're going to want some consistency to keep that momentum up. Another solid run with a 6.5 now, and suddenly they look like they might be a challenger. But they're completely off to the near side this time. A 1.5 is not going to be good. It all comes down to the captain now. Can they redeem their scores so far? It looks like they might with a 7. We'll see how that shakes out compared to the rest. That is P6 out of 14. That's a top half result right now, and a 20.5 isn't too shabby. Now we move on to the Loaves of Bread, dead last in the first event. Let's see if they can redeem themselves here. Their first marble comes down completely off to the far side. Doesn't even hit a single domino, and it looks like they've taken a quick exit of the stadium, not wanting to show their face after that one. But roll comes down a little bit better, a 3.5, but still not great. Their third comes down 6.5, not bad, but the Loaves of Bread really need to get something going here with their Captain Bun. and they're off. It looks like they're completely off to the near side, and that's an unfortunate result for the Loaves of Bread. A 10 will tie them with the Azure Diamonds. I think they win on the tiebreaker thanks to that 6.5, but still not a good result for them. Now the Stingrays, the final run of the day, the gold medalists from last event. Let's see how they do here. Their first marble comes down, and a 7.5 is a great start for the record holders in this event. Their second marble also looking very true. The center of 5, though, isn't quite what they wanted to contend for the gold. Now Manta comes down. They're looking very true. The center here is 7.5, though. Not quite able to get the bullseye, but still great all around. Now the captain comes down, and not quite able to measure up to the rest. A 3.5. Will that be enough for medal? No, it will not. A 23.5 will, I think, tie the Red Rockets, but they lose the tiebreaker, and unfortunately the Rays will have to settle for 4th place here. But of course, that means the Ivy League will be holding on for the gold medal here. The 4K Pixels get their 2nd consecutive medal, and the Red Rockets will be rounding out the podium here. Very impressive by all those teams, and unfortunately the Stingrays lose on the tiebreaker. Will have to settle for 4th place, but here is the podium. The Ivy League and Red Rockets able to redeem themselves after struggling in the first event. Meanwhile, the 4K Pixels looking very dangerous in their first couple events, but the Stingrays actually still hold a point lead by 2 over the 4K Pixels, despite having 2 medals. The Ivy League jumped 10 spots into 3rd place. The King Crabs dropped to 4th. Meanwhile, teams like the Loaves of Bread and Avocados not getting anything going in these first 2 events. As we move on to the next event, which will be Sprint, another one that these teams have already faced in the qualifiers. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching.